Hi, I'm Miyoo Fox Dan, and today I'm going to talk about my devices. So, I own 3 or 4, well, 4 to be precise, I should know that, retro game devices, handheld gaming devices, that kind of thing. I just want to talk you through my experience of them and what I think that they bring to me, what I enjoy. So firstly here we have the Miyoo Mini. This is the version 2 of the Miyoo Mini, which just simply means that they provided different colours. And I was in love with this colour. This is the transparent turquoise, or teal, or, I'm colourblind, but I know I love this colour. So it actually took me quite a while to get hold of this device. I was going on the Miyoo website every day at exactly 9 a.m. for like 3 weeks and checking to see their daily drops, because Miyoo would release a certain amount of units each day, and it was very rare for them to do a interesting color one, or well, particular color one that I was interested in. So yeah, I finally got hold of this. I paid around about equivalent about £60 if memory serves. It came with a Miyoo case and a little charging cable. I've added, with all my devices, I've added a microfiber cloth. This one was actually from a free pack that I bought for about £3, and cut them into little pieces and then just shove that in there in the case. Case is decent, sturdy, does what you need. This is the Miyoo Mini itself. Now, as you can see, I do have reasonably large hands. I'm quite a large man, but the Miyoo Mini is a very small device. Now, the great thing about the Miyoo Mini is that even when we turn it off fully, using Onion OS, so it's now fully switched off, I'll switch it on, so it's got to go through its full boot procedure. Comes up with the screen, Miyoo Linux Games. Here we are into the OS. And now we're straight away able to game, and I can even bring up recent games using the hotkey here. And recently I was playing Sonic Advance, Final Fantasy VI Advance, different version of Final Fantasy VI Advance apparently. My friend had to go on Castlevania, and I got annihilated in Tekken 3 apparently. Let's just go into Tekken 3. So Tekken 3, I actually remember when my friend played Tekken 3, it was genuinely around about 6 months ago. And to have saved exactly where he was with his terrible choice of character is pretty crazy that it's just dropped back in. And I'll say as well, although I don't use the Miyoo Mini that much, I tend to just break it out for these sort of videos. I have also not charged the Miyoo Mini. I cannot actually remember how long it's been since I charged it. Probably 6 months to a year, and we're on 38% battery. I turn it back on after a month or so to have a little look at it, maybe to play for 5 minutes, because I'll be honest, it's not my main device. Yeah, turn it on to play it for 5 minutes, and then instantly it's back in, it's playing, and I don't know if I just get perfect after getting annihilated every time previously. Yeah, it's right back in there, and it's got enough battery to see you through. Oh, okay, right, let's just see if I can give him a good kicking. Okay, so these kicks are basically the only way to win this fight for me, because I am not very good. Oh, yeah, you think you're good, huh? But yeah, that's PS1 now. You can't quite run PS1 enhanced. So the thing about the Miyoo Mini, just change the resolution scaling. Do I want it into scaling? Let's see. There we go. Now the thing about the Miyoo Mini, obviously using custom firmware Onion OS, which is amazing and lets you do all these things. And the Miyoo Mini is great in that it has a really nice screen, which is probably not coming out in this video. It's just something that's just really funky to look at. I often like to just take it out and go, wow, that is a nice looking little handheld. That screen, which is rumoured to come from a BlackBerry, that screen is just pretty damn sweet. And if people come around, I'll just go, hey, look at this. It's pretty cool. And yeah, it's a little sort of party trick, really, rather than anything else. That said, I have completed Final Fantasy VII on it, which is something I've been intending to finish for years. So that was good. And it is more than happy to play PS1 RPGs, SNES RPGs. You know, if I wanted to, I could get through the Zelda games on here, no problem at all, and it would look great doing it. The issue I have of this is it's slightly fragile. It feels fragile in a way, but it's more kind of like a showpiece in that way. And it is too small to be comfortable for long periods of time. And I say I did finish Final Fantasy VII, but that's not exactly taxing button wise. You sort of go do 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 do. I don't know why I'm making noises, but with Final Fantasy VII, you're not exactly smashing the buttons. It's a turn-based RPG, and long-term comfort-wise, this is not great for big hands. The only other downside that I used to think was a downside is that you can only replay up to PS1. You can't play PS1 with enhanced resolution. And unlike the next device I'm about to show you, you can't play Dreamcast or N64, which is what the next device can do. It could play PS1 enhanced resolution, it could play Dreamcast, it could play N64. Whether you'd want to or not is the other question. So yeah, Miyoo Mini, if you want to play NES, you want to play SNES, you want to play Master System, you want to play Mega Drive, you want to play PS1, GBA, GB Color, and on here we've got the Capcom arcade systems, which run reasonably well. There's some slight slowdown I noticed on CPS3. I need to update my Onion OS because Jurassic now has a logo and stuff like that, I imagine, because this is when I first saw Jurassic. You can play a bit of DS, but I didn't find that perfect. Game Boy, Game Advance, Sega Genesis, as they call it, which is Mega Drive to us Europeans. Got the NES, got the Neo Geo Pocket, the PS1, SNES, Master System, which is Mega Drive, and the WonderSwan. Now, a lot of things which are below that spec-wise you can play as well. I don't have any Amstrad or Spectrum. Spectrum's not, no. Is it a Spectrum? I don't know. Atari Lynx or Amstrads or anything like that. I don't own anything like that. I was born in 1988, and the NES was the first thing I was really sort of experienced. So there's not really much point in me having anything older than that. But yeah, it comes with a good old library of dubiously acquired ROMs that I'd recommend you probably put your own. What is this? Titus the Fox to Marrakesh and back. Toki Tori. Yeah, if you want to play some of these. But yeah, you can curate your own collection, especially with custom firmware. I've made a collection of games that I actually want to play on here, like Sonic Advance, Golden Sun, Sonic & Knuckles, Final Fantasies, Pokemon, Top Gear, which was my favourite game back on the SNES. And yeah, it's all here, all runs well, and I've got back to my previous state. Come on. Alright. Now, what's the acceleration button? It's not that, clearly. Here we go. I love this soundtrack. I love this game so much. My brother and I had a SNES. We had the adapter that let you play your Game Boy games on the SNES. And we had this, which is called Top Gear. We also had Mario, I think it's called Mario All-Stars plus Mario Land. So they released two versions, one of which didn't have Super Mario Land on it. The one I did had, so it had like probably 4 or 5 Mario games on there. And yeah, that was pretty great. And yeah, in I got Super Star Wars quite late on, like basically when we'd stopped playing console. I managed to find that really cheap. But yeah, the soundtrack on this is great. It's all about reactions, just avoiding the other cars, avoiding the obstacles. I always pick this car, which I'm not doing it justice, but it's the slowest car but has the best economy, so you never had to pit in. My brother always stupidly chose the purple car, which is in front of me. But you have to pit with the purple car. And also, even when it's single player, it's always split screen. So it kind of encourages you to play split screen with your sibling. Yeah, 7 for terrible. But yeah, that's the Miyoo Mini. So I'm now going to do what I do with the Miyoo Mini all the time. Just simply, no, not press fast forward. Quit the game. Then hold down the power button, it says shutting down. And then pop that in there. And then move across. And here's the telling thing. There's a charge cable plugged into this. And that is a big difference between the Miyoo Mini and the device which I sought to replace it with. So this is a third-party case I had to buy, which pretty rubbish. Well, does the job. It's a very similar sort of case to the Miyoo Mini one. I don't like where the zip is positioned. It's positioned upside down, so that when you charge it, you have to put the console in upside down because it's got the USB is on the bottom here. And if you were to do like that and plug it in, then you can only zip up to around about here when charging. And I like to have my device fully protected when charging as much as I can, so I flip it over. Also, and this won't come out on this video, but this case, despite being like £12, which means, considering these devices are only like £50 to £70 anyway, that is quite a big investment. This case is made of the cheapest possible toxic chemicals. Like, I would not put this near animals or children. The smell has gone down a little bit recently because I've owned it for about 6 or 8 months. But when I first got it, oh boy, you did not want to open that up. That was just pure toxic, terrible chemicals from being the cheapest possible thing ever. So what we have here is the Anbernic RG35XX, which is actually a very small handheld, but because I've got an extra Miyoo Mini here, you really don't, it looks giant. It's got a slightly bigger screen. It's got a 3.5-inch screen and a little bit more room on there for your hands, so you can play with a little bit more comfort, a little bit longer without cramping up, but still not brilliant. You've got the shoulder buttons here. You've got your 2 microSD card slots. I'm only running from the primary one here. Power button, reset button. Got a volume button here, which you can also use as a brightness change. Now let's load this up. Okay, so I made a custom boot screen because I'm a loser. No, I made a custom boot screen, and I've got this running on Nully OS, which is a fork of Batacera. It does a lot of things I want to do. There's some things which are negatives, like for example, how long it takes to load up. A lot of people have a problem with that because it is taking a little while, as you can see. It's not instantly pop in play like the Miyoo Mini is. Still loading in. And yeah, it can be a little janky, a little slow, so I'm going to increase the brightness here. Let's see what we're doing. Now, it says it's on, this is the thing, it says it's on 99% battery. I don't really believe that, but I know that it's not going to die soon. Yeah, the battery readings are not very accurate on Nully OS. It's not the Anbernic RG35XX fault. But yeah, I've noticed the battery, I can have it plugged in and charging and it'll say 9%, it'll say 9% for the full hour that I'm charging it. Only to suddenly then say 100% or 42% if I just back out of the game or press restart or something. So you've got the good thing about this, if you're familiar with Batasera, you know that you can change a lot of these settings using quite a professional menu. You've got a scraper, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got Bluetooth. Scraper and Wi-Fi are really key things compared to the Miyoo Mini. As you can tell from the Miyoo Mini video, I didn't have box art or anything like that. I just sort of picked my games and went in there, which is a fairly simplistic approach. But this has got a slightly prettier UI and it all seems a bit more grown up. So I'm just going to go back and go into here, and as you can see, all my SNES games are here, and there's a little description here. So apparently in Alien vs Predator, based on the Alien vs Predator comic book series, during the 20th century, mankind has colonized many planets, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's all quite user-friendly, quite visual. So I've got the same systems I have on the Miyoo Mini, however, also with a little bit more headroom in this because of a more powerful processor. We also have N64 here, and Nintendo DS can run most of the time with enhanced resolution. And got a bit of the Naomi arcade device, which is very similar to the Dreamcast. Dreamcast itself, where I mostly have it for turn-based RPGs, but you can also, when needed, you can toggle the analog stick to run using the D-pad. PS1, you can run it in enhanced resolution, so it's double res. You've got PSP, which runs in 16:9 with some black bars, which is, you know, whether or not you live with that or not is another question. Like if your whole idea was to play PSP, there are much better ways to play PSP, but it's possible. So yeah, you got some ports here as well. So using the ports guide, you see I've downloaded Half-Life. I've downloaded something that's quite similar to Minecraft. I also have Moonlight, so I can stream games from my PC. Command & Conquer Red Alert, which is very difficult to control using this. So it has a lot more options than Miyoo Mini. However, I would say that even after installing this custom firmware and putting quite a few hours of not my work, like I'm some sort of coder or anything, but quite a few hours of time into getting this set up just how I want it, changing this little setting, changing that little setting, having a little tweak, it still feels less focused. So yeah, I can jump into Sonic Adventure 2 here, and I'm going to. But yeah, sure, it's great that I can play Sonic Adventure 2. Now, for example, it's not telling me what my volume is, so it's going to be a complete shock when this game kicks in. And there's often a shock when I load this up. It's very loud. When I load this up late at night, when, you know, just before I go to sleep, you can wake up your partner just because you can't really tell what the volume is until you're actually playing the game. Okay, and apparently I have not set up my controls on here yet to run this thing. I feel like I've done quite a lot of tweaking, but apparently I've not set up the controls properly on this yet. So it's not actually running with the D-pad. Rather than boring you to death with that, there is a way to do that via emulator settings. So I've got Flycast. I can go into the Flycast settings and change things. I'm not going to do it right now because this is a long enough video as it is. So instead, let's pop into a little bit of PSP and show you what 16:9 graphics look like. 16:9 resolution looks like. Let's see if there's anything I can jump into quite quickly. Ridge Racer. Now you've probably seen this done by quite a lot of YouTubers, because do you really watch me do half an hour of cutscenes to get into something like a Final Fantasy, or just jump straight into a race with Ridge Racer? So I understand why they do this. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm cool. Sure. Yeah, my name's Tekken. That makes sense.
Proceed without choices.
Yes. Yes, I do want to proceed. Awful sounding voice.
Please select course. Please select a machine class.
Class 6? Sure. Not a lot. Okay. Okay.
Please select a machine class.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not really that fussed by the. Okay, sure. I'm not really that fussed by the bars, but obviously it's a small screen as it is.
The course is in excellent condition. Is your cartoon perfect?
Sure.
3, 2, 1, go! 3 laps to go.
Oh. Okay. Now I've got no frame count on here, but I would say I probably need to enable frame skip, because this doesn't seem to be the smoothest. Yeah, that's a bit of a lag, a bit of a frame drop there. So yeah, PSP, you can play it if you want. There are a lot better ways to play a 16:9 system. I'd even be tempted to include your phone in that, as long as you can get by with the touchscreen or connecting a controller, because most phones can play PSP at 2 or 3 times resolution and cater for the 16:9 aspect ratio. So yeah, this is the thing. The RG35XX can play more systems. Can play more systems than the Miyoo Mini. It's just whether or not you actually want to play those systems on a still fairly small device. Like, is this the best place to play PSP, to play Dreamcast, to play N64? Probably not. I actually found myself spending most of my time playing on SNES and GBA games, which I could just play on here. And I certainly wouldn't recommend having both of these consoles. The reason I own both is simply because this was supposed to replace the Miyoo Mini when I bought it. That was my intention. But the Miyoo Mini is just so cool, so funky. I like it. I like it a lot. So now, another thing about this is the sleep function is not particularly great. If you put it in sleep, so you're sort of playing at 11 o'clock at night and you feel a bit tired, and you say, okay, I'm going to put this in sleep now. Put it down. The next morning when you go to pick it up, even if you're on 100% battery, you'll probably be sitting on like 20% battery. If you're playing at like 40%, then when you turn it on in the morning, probably going to be dead battery. And that's the big frustration, is that this one here, I can rely upon picking this up and playing it whenever I like. I know that, like, I'm going on holiday /vacation in 3 months' time, and I'm pretty sure that I will be able to just put this into my bag, and when I'm on the plane, I'll turn this on, and it'll still have about 30% battery between now and then. This thing, if I don't fully turn this off, this will have 0% battery by the end of the day, and it's 4 p.m. So I am going to not even power off apparently. I'm going to power off using the full shutdown. So it just adds a little tiny bit of complexity. By complexity, I mean you can't just throw it on the floor and fall straight asleep. You have to make sure that you have taken a minute to turn it off. So yeah, I said those devices are a little bit smaller, and I'm now moving over to the bigger devices. The next device is this here. It is the AYN Odin 2. Now, this is a whole different ball game. It is a lot more expensive than either of the two previous devices, but there's a reason for that. It uses Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, and that's me. Look at the wonderful reflective qualities of this bloody room. So, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is a fairly high-end phone chipset. So it is a whole different ball game to these small devices which I was just showing. And just to show you what I mean by small device, here is the Odin side by side. That's significantly larger. And if we get the Miyoo Mini out as well, unzipping it with one hand, dexterity be my friend. Here is the Miyoo Mini. So as you can see, Odin is quite a bit larger. However, it's not much bigger than a phone. The screen is fairly phone sized, so imagine your phone with these console grips, or this console added on. So yeah, I'm going to turn on my Odin, hopefully find an angle which doesn't have such extreme reflections. So the console is now loaded up. Brings you to the screen. Now, one thing that I find quite annoying, I don't want a clock, is that because it is an Android device, you do have to use the touchscreen a bit. Now, I do not want to be using a touchscreen and putting my filthy mitts all over. Really struggling to actually focus on the device right now. So I do apologise for that. Yeah, I don't want to be putting my filthy mitts all over the screen and creating smudges. It annoys me. So yeah, this device, I think I hinted at, because the touchscreen, let's go everywhere. I hinted at this earlier. This device cost me the equivalent of around, I think it's around about £300. Which is a lot, there's no denying that. But for what you get, well, where it's worth or not is down to you. But it's a whole different kind of device. So on here, you can emulate everything that you can emulate on Android. I personally have got a little bit of PlayStation on here for some reason. So a few PlayStation games, PS1 games. I've got a few PS2 games. Got a few Switch games, which I'm still not sure about the legality of showing this, but I've got a few Switch games on here. The only problem I would say perhaps is that with Switch, there's so much stuff that I want to play here that I kind of get a bit torn. Dreamcast games, now the difference between the Anbernic and this is I can play all these games at much higher resolution and use widescreen hacks. And because I've got analog sticks, I can play. And then a bit of GameCube, a bit of PS2. And it's actually on PS2 that I completed Persona 3 FES. I played all 100 hours through on the Odin 2, which is pretty cool because it's a hell of a big game, and I found the Odin 2 a great way to play through it. So just load up a PS2 game. Let's go. Now that's another thing. I went through Daijishu, but Daijishu then wants me to then go through AFA. So I have got this running at a 1080p enhanced resolution, and it handles, I'd say you could do 3. Oh no, I've got sorry, misspoke. I'm playing this at 2.5 times resolution, which is about equal to the screen resolution of the device. Anything more than that is unnecessary, and it runs seamlessly, flawlessly, whatever you want to say. So let's go to somewhere a bit interesting. No, Tokyo's locked. I love the soundtrack on this game back in the day. So yeah, with Android, you can chomp up Android on the Odin 2. You can chomp up PS2. You can play Switch mostly because Switch, the emulator was taken down after some complaints from Nintendo. I'd like to warn you, by the way, that I do have some cheats on, so I'm not as good a skater as the game is suggesting. Although apparently I'm not very good at all. Maybe I turn the cheats off. Let's say I turn the cheats off so I look better. Yeah, so Switch emulation is no longer supported, or sorry, no longer in development. So whatever it can currently play, which is most things fairly well, is going to be the limit of where we're at. So for example, I've played, or should I say, a friend of mine. Now, I've played about 12 hours of Assassin's Creed Black Flag on there, and you get graphical artifacts, you get the occasional frame rate dip. I've also played about 10 hours of Pokemon, the one which is Red Fiend, which is the most recent major Pokemon release. And again, the device runs pretty hot, but obviously you've got the fan, which is great. And you'll get some frame dips and the occasional crash on that game. This is just my personal experience. Some people say they play it flawlessly and I'm some sort of numpty, which I probably am. But yeah, if you're happy to play like that, and I feel you mostly can play like that, then yeah, that's great. It's good for you. But don't expect it to be perfect. And ironically, if I were to buy this simply just for Switch emulation, and there's only like 4 or 5 Switch games I want to play, if I'd actually bought a Switch Lite, because I sold my Switch Lite for £100, if I bought a Switch Lite on the second-hand market for £100 and bought the 5 games I wanted physically, at say the maximum of £50, and each time I completed one I sold it, I would spend less on that than I would on the Odin 2. So that's a bit of perspective. However, I like that I can play basically every retro game on here, not just Switch. I've got a bit of freedom. I can play stuff in docked mode sometimes, which the enhanced resolution 1080p rather than 720p. Yeah, I just like the freedom of the device. You can also use Moonlight and Steam Link to stream games. Moonlight, and you can also play Android games like Genshin Impact with slightly dubious control mapping. But yeah, I've got Steam Link, I've got Moonlight, so I can connect to my desktop if I so want. Let's see if I can connect now, because I know it's currently running. See if I can get onto Steam on my desktop. Well, here's my desktop. It does back out for some reason, so I need to go through Maintenance Tool. Don't know why. But go via Maintenance Tool, into Steam. I can minimize this. So Maintenance Tool weirdly opens up. So if I go via the Steam link, the actual Steam part of Moonlight, it'll crash me back. But if I go through Maintenance Tool, it'll open up Yuzu, which I then minimize and then get into Steam. I don't really know why. But yeah, I've got all of my Steam games here that are on my PC right now. I can load up, so that needs installing. However, let's find one which doesn't need installing, because that makes more sense. Have a look at the library, what's currently playing. I can load up a little bit Helldivers 2, and using several layers of lag, I can irritate anybody who is unfortunate enough to join my game. But that is just something that's kind of possible. Anyway, you can certainly do that using the Odin 2. And whilst that's loading, I'll quickly plug in my camera phone, because this has been a long video and it's starting to suffer. So yeah, it is quite a long time to get into Helldivers anyway, because it starts off with, come on, it'll start off with the funny video, which needs to take a while to actually load into. Again, I am sorry about the focus during this video, which wasn't a problem using the Miyoo or the Anbernic, but now we're actually playing on the Odin. The focus is all over the place, so I don't really know what's happened there. Here we go. Yeah, just as I thought, maybe I'll go in the other room and check to see if the PC is actually running, it hasn't crashed.
Greetings, Helldiver. The galactic war awaits.
So I can join some unfortunate guys. Some unfortunate person's existing game. So I'm sorry, GG the Impaler and Kitty Maya and Lebedecat. You are gonna absolutely hate me, and I'm gonna quit out very quickly. So if you, for some strange reason, do see this video, you'll know why I'm doing this, and I am sorry. Yeah, whereas you do actually have Moonlight on the Anbernic, I can't imagine anyone ever playing a PC game using that. Okay. Getting quite a lot of slowdown on the PC apparently.
Go now, and shoot you all. Remember this. Every day is a good day to die for democracy. Requesting orbital.
Aha! It's dead. So yeah, this is something you can't do on those small devices. And you can't do on Switch. Ah, bloody hell.
Requesting orbital strike.
Right. Is my mag empty by any chance? Okay, now I'm actually enjoying this and not really making a video whilst I'm enjoying it. So I actually need to just quit out and be really annoying to these guys. But I'm going to have to do that because otherwise I'll get too into this and won't make much of a video. So, quitting the game. Oh well, that was fun. But yeah, so that's a little oversight of the Odin 2. Again, is this a necessary device to own? I mean, it's fun, but no, probably not is the answer. So I will close all my apps. And then power this off. And that's actually okay in sleep mode, to be fair. It's not the titan of sleep that the Miyoo Mini is, but then I don't leave it for that long between playing anyway. I will play it reasonably often, and I have enjoyed playing it in. I have enjoyed playing it as a PC streaming device more than I thought I would. So now we move on to the final device, which is the Steam Deck OLED, and we're just gonna get a bit of a scale thing going on here. So obviously we saw that the Odin is a bit bigger, and then I'm just going to put these next to each other as well, hopefully give you a bit of an idea of what we're looking at here. So these are all four of my devices, and I mean, if you've been following gaming at all recently, you'll know that the Steam Deck is a large device. Some people say too large. I don't mind it because of the ergonomics, and because I've got quite large hands. Yeah, that is the four devices, and obviously they all do different things. So just take these out of it. So yes, whereas the Odin can, I don't know why I'm getting so much glare right now. Whereas the Odin can stream PC games and play everything that Android can play, the Steam Deck can play PC games. And now this is something that I essentially always wanted. When I got my Switch, which I loved, I would be getting games which often I'd missed because I didn't really play consoles that often from sort of late PS3 and PS4 era. There's a lot of games that were quite old from those consoles which came onto Switch, which I was enjoying. But I kept thinking, I've got this massive PC library. Well, in my opinion, massive. Some people got a lot more than this, but I've got 155 games on PC, and some of them I'm just not playing. I'm buying them. I mean, these are all unplayed. I mean, some of this is a bit of a lie because I've played them on Origin. All these games on PC which I've got, which I haven't played. And the thing is, I don't really, the same reason why I bought a Switch and quite enjoy playing old console games, because I don't really play on my console. The same reason I don't really play on my PC, I don't like sitting in a chair in front of a screen. in front of a screen which is like 5-10 feet away. Even with PC, which is only a few feet away, I just don't really enjoy doing that. And especially sort of COVID time, when I spent your entire day working from home at your desk. Do you really want to play PC in the evening? I didn't. So yeah, that's why I quite enjoyed getting this, because there's so many games I just wanted to get into, get playing. So let's load up a game that I'm not particularly enjoying. Let's load up Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, because it is fairly colourful at least. But yeah, I went on I love Borderlands, and I had a bit of a Borderlands kick where when I got my Steam Deck, I, having completed Borderlands 1 and 2 on the 360 and probably the PS4 for 2, I hadn't played the pre-sequel or Borderlands 3. So I actually then played completed all four of those in the space of a couple of months. So I was playing pretty intense Borderlands. So I then got Wonderlands, and it's probably just a game too far, really. I did not need to get another Borderlands game so soon. And also I had some slight teething issues with Wonderlands because it didn't play in the correct resolution. So because of that, the UI scaling meant that I couldn't actually I couldn't compare my weapons or my gear against each other. Which is, and then this annoying thing as well, I forgot about this, optimizing shaders. So it just takes a little while to get into the game. Now, not being able to compare your gear against itself is quite a big part of Borderlands. You are always upgrading, grabbing more loot, grabbing better stuff, and swapping out and going, yeah, that's a little bit of an incremental upgrade all the time. And if you're not doing that, you just, that's most of the game. How do you know your weapon's better if you can't compare it? So yeah, signing me in. But yeah, this essentially, we're talking about overall devices now. With the Odin 2, you can play everything that Android can emulate, which is essentially everything except for Wii U. I believe some progress has been made on Wii U. Wii U, PS4, Xbox 360. Those three aren't really playable on Android. It's not really about the power, it's just about what you can and can't play on that system. Now, I've done a couple of videos of Xbox 360 emulation on here. So the difference is that you can emulate PS3 and Xbox 360 games, some of them, because again, those emulators aren't great, but it's not really about the horsepower of this device, it's more about the system itself. The Switch emulation on there, you're still using Yuzu, but whereas sometimes you're a little bit hampered by slight compatibility issues or by power issues, you've got a bit more power in this, so you don't drop that many frames like you would on Pokemon. You don't drop frames, and yeah, you don't drop frames, and it's a little bit smoother. Like, for example, you can't play Red Dead Redemption 1, or at least I couldn't, on... What? There's an I now. You can't play Red Dead Redemption 1 very well on Android on YouTube, but you can play it basically seamlessly on the PC, because you can, on Steam Deck, because you can sort of brute force it a little bit. Yeah, and on top of that, you obviously got PC itself. Although you can stream PC on... what's going on there? Yeah, even though you can stream PC on the Odin, and I suppose a bit on the Anbernic, you can't play actual PC games. I love Steam Deck. I think there's strengths and weaknesses to all the devices. But yeah, that is my devices I've just gone through. Perhaps some questions you might have, such as, why do you own a Miyoo Mini and an RG35XX Plus? It's not really intentional. I was planning to get rid of the Miyoo Mini, but it's such a cool little thing that I can't be as part of it. Do I need an Odin 2 and a Steam Deck? No. If I had to have one of them, I would have the Steam Deck because it can play PC, even though I really enjoy the Odin 2 and quite like having a slightly small device now and then. The Steam Deck can just do the same but slightly more. And obviously the Steam Deck OLED is more expensive than the Odin 2. But this Steam Deck LCD been going. I mean, I sold mine for around about £300, and I'm pretty sure that you can actually even get them refurbed for around that now, which is actually less than the Odin 2, which I believe cost me £330. So, and again, I like to acknowledge that these are all first world issues. Like, I'm a very lucky person. I don't actually earn that much money or anything, but I'm a very lucky person to be able to have these luxury toys. Are any of them necessary at all? No, not at all. But of these, if I would have one, I'd have the Steam Deck. If I would have two, I would have the Steam Deck and probably the Miyoo. If I had to sell all of these apart from the Steam Deck, would I be upset? Not really. And the good thing about retro consoles is that because you often buy them from China, and that puts a few people off. They do, and they're not mass produced because they are produced by small Chinese companies. They do tend to retain their value fairly well. So if I were to sell all my retro consoles, I'd probably get most of what I paid for them. So they're not a huge gamble in that regard. As for warranty and issues, I've been lucky that I've not had anything wrong with any of mine. I've not heard of huge failure rates with these devices, but I very much doubt that if you were to approach Miyoo or Anbernic, that they would really care too much that you're and even actually no, to be fair, AYN customer service has apparently been okay. But anything that you buy from a company that's that far away that doesn't necessarily abide by the same rules as we do in Europe and America, for example, like they're all based on copyright infringement, aren't they? Really, like the Miyoo and the Odin, and the Odin, which is sort of, I mean, they're all designed to play games which are copyright protected. So obviously you could just buy it to play legitimate Android games or homebrew games, I guess. But I would say that I would never rely on a Chinese company to, and there's nothing against the people of China, but I would never rely on them to abide by legal conventions that we have in Europe or America or in the place where you live, because just because we say, oh, well, Consumer Rights and Trading Act of 1973 says you must offer me a refund if your goods are found to be subpar. Why would they care about that? Why, and what would you do? Like, are you going to fly over to their office? Are you going to instruct a lawyer in communist China to take them down? No. So just buyer beware is what I'll say. But I've never had any problems. And I'm sure they're all lovely, lovely people. Right, on that note, thank you very much for watching. I'm Fox Dan. I hope that's kind of explained a little bit about the devices I own and why I own them, or perhaps why I'm crazy. But yeah, I've enjoyed making this, and if you have enjoyed watching it, then please like and subscribe. It all does mean a lot to me. It helps me to grow the channel. It gives me a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a kick to know that people are actually interested in watching this stuff and that I'm not just wasting my time. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe if it's your cup of tea. All right, cheers, thanks, and bye.